Again, I'm Ansley Sutter, Social Media Training and Communications Coordinator with ForRent Media Solutions. Thanks for joining me today. Again, if you have not met Erica Campbell-Byram, she's the Director of Social Media. She'll be joining us today to provide us some insight on our topic, which is how you can use visual social media to tell your brand story. Erica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. Alrighty, so for obvious reasons, this is the most visual of our presentations to date, so I'm sure we'll be getting quite a few questions and other feedback we have, and we welcome it. We love your questions, we love your feedback, we love interacting with you. So should you have any questions that come in, feel free to use the questions box you have available to you, and we'll get to those questions towards the end and answer those for you. If we run out of time, we're happy to answer those via email to you. That being said, we'll be talking about this today. So we'll be talking about the logic behind the VSM shift, the visual social media shift, how you can create visual content, ways you can mix visuals into your current social strategy, and applicable tips along with some valuable links that you can apply today. So today we're going to be talking about how VSM, known as visual social media, how we're going to be talking about that, and we've got quite a bit of things to talk about. So we're going to jump right in and talk about why social media has made a significant shift toward conveying messages in a visual manner. So as technology has developed, so has the way we communicate with one another, right? We are encountering an increasing number of messages than we did even 2 to 5 years ago. We're just bombarded with advertising and marketing messages. So as the frequency of marketing messages grows, a consumer's attention span decreases, which lends to why we're moving in the direction of becoming more visual, just because it's getting harder to grab our consumers' attention spans, right? So society is becoming more visually intrigued and voyeuristic. We all know that. We have reality shows, we have all these social platforms to show for that. So the shift in visual social media reflects that as we've gone from strictly blogging, say 500 to 1,000 words, we've transitioned from that to microblogging, using networks like Facebook and Twitter, and then becoming primarily visual nowadays, and using networks like YouTube, Tumblr, Pinterest, and Instagram. And we're seeing that users are more likely to engage with brands if brands post pictures opposed to any other content. So let's touch on our second pillar, shall we? Creating visual content and crowdsourcing, and ways to gain engagement and build your brand ambassadors, which are so important to any type of a brand. So creating visual content includes branding your photos, adding verbiage, and customizing your images, such as the images you see here. So by including your logo or branding as part of your photo, it gives you an extra place for brand exposure, which is always great. So Erica, I know you have some other examples of creating visually branded content. You want to share those with us?
Yeah, so as you see some of the branded stuff that we've done here at ForRent, we love to play off of creative photos and overlaying text and our logo on top of that. So that's something definitely to consider, because all of the content that you guys are sharing on your social networks, because it has the capability of being shared, you want to make sure that your logo is going along with that share so that you get that branding that goes across all of the networks. So one of the things that we focus on that's highly visual is infographics. So this is something that you guys can implement yourselves. And infographics are really a great visual representation of information or any kind of data or knowledge that you guys might have. And it allows you to present information quickly and very clearly. So you can have a lot of fun with infographics. They don't have to necessarily be super heavy on corporate data. They can be a little more fun, lighthearted. With our brand, we've done a fun series of infographics, and they're really fun, playful, but yet at the same time they do offer some really great information, and that information is very shareable. So they're great assets to not only place on your website, give out to your residents, but you want to put them anywhere and everywhere on the web. So when you're thinking about your social networking sites, how can you get them on your Facebook page, your Pinterest account, your Instagram, your Tumblr account, etc. So it's all about content cascading, and you'll see a lot of these exercises in different assets throughout today's presentation. So it's really important to think about where can this content live. Another thing to consider are eBooks and different guides. These are also highly visual assets, and they're very enjoyable to read. And not only is it electronic, but you also have the capability to print it out, which is really nice. You can leave maybe a printed copy for residents or shoot them a link to it via email, campaigns, or any type of messaging that you might have. And one of the ways to get this accomplished, because you're probably sitting here thinking, I don't have the time to develop these, ebooks or these guides because they're so rich with information. And we're in the same boat as you guys. So what we've done is we partner up with bloggers and different partners that we have to help create these guides. So they supply us with the photos, they supply us with the content, and then we put it all together. So you're really using this as more of a content curation exercise where you are reaching out to your ambassadors. Maybe you've got some residents that have some great photos and content. So it's a combination of text and photos. And of course, you can also add some videos. So they're helping you do that legwork because you're curating that content.
Great stuff. So next part of creating that visual content, we'll talk about crowdsourcing. And so there's power in numbers, and crowdsourcing involves getting a crowd of people together to help you with a task, essentially, that used to take one person. So essentially, it's building your audience to help promote your brand. So Erica, maybe you could go into detail about how ForRent used crowdsourcing to put more eyes on the brand over the holidays.
Yeah, so this is a simple exercise that we did that I highly recommend for our industry to give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. And you can use the people and the power of your residents and your prospects and your fans to help you, again, curate this content because they become an extension to your marketing department. So what we did at ForRent is we actually partnered up with our sister site, Homes.com, and we actually ran our first Instagram contest this past December, and it ran for 30 days. And the challenge was called Home for the Holidays. And we challenged Instagram users to snap a photo each day, so from December 1st through the 31st, for their chance to win $300. And we created a unique hashtag with it to really associate with the campaign. So we gave it a hashtag called #HolidayHomeChat. And all entrants that went into this campaign, they had to use that hashtag in order to be eligible. And they also had to use our Instagram @handles, so for both brands, for both Homes and ForRent. So that gave us the branding that we needed, and it allowed us to track all the entrants. And each day we provided the users with a task of snapping some sort of photo, like something that they were thankful for, or a tacky holiday sweater, or a shot of a holiday pie. So not only did we run this contest for our fans, but we also took it to the next level, and we had an internal contest for our employees where we gave them an additional unique hashtag on top of the Holiday Home Chat so that we could uniquely identify who was an employee versus who was a fan. And that was really great because not only did this whole crowdsourcing campaign, if you will, not only did it allow us to create engagement with our fans and our employees, but internally it really created this fun sense of ownership and helped create a sense of community among our own employees. They felt as if they were contributing to something daily, which was really neat. And then we also, out of everything, we gained nearly 1,000 photo assets. And the way we wrote the legal for the contest was so that we now own the rights to those photos and we can use them on our blogs, on our social sites, and future marketing campaigns. So this is a great way, if you don't have time for content, you go out, you create a campaign like this, and the content eventually comes to you, and then you get to repurpose that. So it's a great way for content curation and for you now to have all these assets. So what we plan on doing is for 2013, we've now got all this great rich content from 2012 that we can repurpose for the holidays in 2013. So just a fun way that you guys can curate content.
So that's great, and I live for a good hashtag and repurposing, so that's great. So now we're transitioning to ways we can distribute that visual content you were talking about to various networks like Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. So Erica, I know Pinterest is near and dear to your heart, and right now it's the fastest growing social network, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down really. So could you share some insights as to why it's such a great platform for brands to tell their stories?
Yes, and I love Pinterest. I actually just recently got married this past summer, and I used Pinterest to plan my entire wedding. And it was interesting to see kind of the trends that was going on within Pinterest. I shared a board with my wedding planner. We had co-authorship of it. Really interesting things of how I was able to plan that wedding. And majority of my pins turned into actual purchases. So it was great to see me as a consumer interacting in this environment and that actually turning into a purchase. But for those of you on the phone that might be, you've heard of Pinterest, but you might not actively be using it, Pinterest is a content sharing platform that allows you to pin objects from the web, whether that be photos, videos, or maybe you have text on your website. And what you do is you actually store all that content into what's called a pin board. And you can have multiple different pin boards, as how you're seeing on the Grove Apartments example here. And it's basically like the new version of the browser bookmark that we all use today on our computers when we're bookmarking assets that we like on the web or our favorite websites, except this is very, very highly visual. And the idea behind it is that you can go to your favorite website and you can pin a piece of content into your pin board. And you actually get to categorize it. So you'll see there's multiple categories and multiple pin boards. And everything's stored at your fingertips. Either you can use the Pinterest application on your mobile device, or you can use it browser-based. So that way, the next time you go to your board, whether it's on your mobile device or through your browser, and you click on that photo asset or that video, it's going to drive traffic back into the originating source. So some of the things that are really important to note from a personal use and how people use Pinterest. For example, I use it to store recipes or to store fashion ideas and decorating and organizing ideas. So next time I'm in the grocery store and I found this killer recipe on Pinterest, I can click into my app, click the photo of the recipe, and it will supply me with all of the assets that I need for the ingredients. So it's very quick and easy on the fly. So it's very great for being mobile. But Pinterest is also really important for businesses, and it's going to do three main things for you. And if you use it correctly, the number one thing it's going to do is drive a significant amount of traffic back into your website. Number two is it's going to help with your search engine optimization, and we all love free traffic, so this is why I'm so passionate about Pinterest, because we're starting to see it climb up to the top 20 referring sources of traffic into our website, so I know it's working. And number three, it's really great for branding and allows you to tell a story about your organization. And more importantly, you're also delivering some sort of experience to your fans, because just like any of the other social networking sites, it really affords you the opportunity to have engaging conversations with them. And what's really interesting is that Pinterest accounts for 80% of all household purchases, and women are very, very active in this. And obviously women play a huge part in the home buying and renting process. So I saw this, and this is generic stat, but 1 in 5 of those women online are actually on Pinterest. So that's a huge opportunity for us to captivate that audience and have conversations with them and really expose our brands to them. And here's some really great stats from a bunch of different sources, from Experian, PR Daily, Shareaholic, and some other sources, to really back up why Pinterest is so powerful. And Pinterest is now the 3rd most popular social network in the U.S. in terms of traffic. So that's really important for us to note here, because again, part of the exercises that we do as marketers is we want to make sure that it's converting and working well. Pinterest is absolutely going to drive that traffic into your website. There's over 25 million monthly unique visitors in this atmosphere, and they're getting about, it was the fastest standalone website to date out of any website out there. And they're about the 10 million per month mark ever. So a lot of traffic in here, fastest one to hit that mark. Pinterest is actually sending more referral traffic than Google+, LinkedIn, and YouTube combined, which is very shocking. And also Twitter stumble upon Bing and Google referral traffic. And it actually also outpaced Yahoo this past August. So again, really interesting to see how much referral traffic it's bringing into websites and how it's actually outpacing some of the players that have been on the block for quite some time. Pinterest is retaining and engaging users just as fast as Twitter, if not faster. So again, this is a really interesting thing to see. Not only are people signing up for Pinterest, but they're actually staying and they're engaging inside the platform. And in January of 2012, Pinterest accounted for 3.6% of referral traffic. So I'm really excited to see 12 months later what this is going to look like. And I'm going to give you guys some optimization tips and best practices today for Pinterest and all of these platforms. But by placing a call to action at the pin level and some form of description, you're going to see an 80% increase in engagement. So again, things to think about so that you're not just pinning random content, but you're also putting a little bit of elbow grease behind it to SEO it so that you rank higher in the search engines. As of January 2012, American users spend an average of 97.8 minutes on Pinterest. This is huge. Pinterest is like fantasy football for women. You know, we are constantly interacting in this space. 19% of online women are now on Pinterest, and 80% of Pinterest users are female. So again, a really great target audience that we can reach. 30% of Pinterest users, they're women 25 to 34 years old, and I'd actually be surprised to see this. I want to, come back to this research once they've updated it and take a look at that, because I think it's really expanding across and even expanding outside that 34 age group here. So what I've done here is I've laid out the top 10 categories on Pinterest as well as the top 10 most popular board names. This is a study that was done by RJ Metrics just so we could take a nice global look at what types of content is getting into Pinterest, what are people's likes and dislikes. But you'll notice that home is #1 for both top 10 categories and top 10 most popular board names. So Pinterest is perfect for multifamily housing. It's, this is the platform for us to use. You're also going to see style, fashion, food, holidays, seasonal, products, travel, recipes, all of this information. And all of those things, a lot of the items that fall below one are things that happen within our home. So again, lots of opportunity for us to have engaging conversations and provide more than just what we offer being our apartment communities, but also, recipe ideas and craft ideas and different things to really resonate with the resident and create that conversation.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for all that. So if I'm on the property management side, I'm probably thinking, okay, great. So I know what to name my boards so that they have that high visibility, searchability, findability, SEO, but what can my property do to better humanize the brand to give our listings in the floor plans the exposure we definitely need and they deserve?
Well, I want to go through some Pinterest board ideas for you, and I've created 10. These are very simple ideas that you guys can start executing within the next couple weeks. And some of you guys are probably already doing this, but I did want to point them out because some of them are simple ideas, but oftentimes we run out of time and we just don't have the time to necessarily organize the content. But these little tactics are really going to kick up your Pinterest account to the next notch. So one of the first things that you guys can do is introduce your team. So I've pulled in some examples from the real estate side because I feel like we can learn a lot from what they're doing in the space, and I love how proactive they are with including headshots from their team with descriptions and bios and links back into their About Us page on their website. So this is something I highly recommend that you guys do, showcasing all the folks on your team, leasing to maintenance to whatever the case may be, whether it's at corporate or at the local on-site level. You have a lot of opportunity in there, and this is great for SEO, and it, again, humanizes your brand. But more importantly, behind the pin, also include a link that goes back into your website. Or if your employees have Google Plus accounts or Twitter accounts, wherever else you want to send that traffic, you can go ahead and do that. The second board idea is to showcase your listings, of course. So this is me personally just doing a test of what that would look like so I could show you guys. So you have the opportunity to go to your website and actually install the Pin It button and the bookmarklet, and we'll talk about that in the next few slides here. But with that, you have the opportunity to pin a piece of content. When you do pin that, and I'm going to give you guys some optimization best practices, but please include descriptions with hashtags, links back into your website. You can also add pricing, and I'll cover all of those elements individually, but this is essentially what it would look like. So that way when people are searching inside of Pinterest and on Google and the other search engines, your floor plans and your inventory has the capability to show up. The third board idea is resident testimonials. A lot of you are doing really great things with obtaining these and soliciting them on behalf of your residents, both your existing residents and your previous ones. So this is an example of a company that I absolutely love what they're doing. They're holding up some fun numbers and some signage, and they've really created this mini campaign of resident testimonials. So this is something that you guys can absolutely do and store them all into one actual pin board. So you guys are probably getting your resident testimonials already, whether on Facebook or if they're in person. They might be going to Google+. Curate all that content and bring it also into Pinterest, so you've got it all stored into one central location. The fourth board idea is lifestyle content. This is very important because you want to position yourselves as an expert. Not only are you guys, you have apartments for rent, but you need to also position yourself as an expert so that people want to live in your apartment, but also have that experience with the surrounding area. So some different ideas that you can do are seasonal type boards. You can supply apartment decor ideas, whether it's small spaces or closets, maybe it's organization. You can have recipe boards. Any type of hobbies, whether it's fashion, style, sports, maybe it's luxury cars, different crafting and DIY projects. And again, I shared a lot of stats with you that weighed heavy on the female demo, but again, we are seeing an increase in males in here too. But what I love about what this company did with their Pinterest account is they definitely understand SEO, because I can see by all of their pin boards, they're including Orange County in each of the categories. So you can see that they're very focused on hyperlocal terms, which will really help them rank higher in both Pinterest but also into search. So you'll notice that they've got Orange County lifestyle, Orange County rides, Orange County pools. Then they might mix it up and say hamburgers in Orange County or something like that. But you'll notice they do capture kind of all different types of lifestyle content, so become that local expert. Speaking of local, that's the number 5th one. Again, you want to position yourself as that local expert, so some different things that you can have. If you're just starting out with Pinterest, you can have one board that's very specific to local, but when you start becoming a little bit more savvy with it, I actually recommend that you have separate boards for all of these items on the right-hand side. So you should have boards for cities and neighborhoods and a dining guide where you supply restaurants, bars, different types of entertainment spots that you have, nightlife, transportation, any kind of schools, local businesses, beauty, spas, any local partnerships that you guys have already established. This is a great way to enhance your partnership marketing that you might already have today. So become that local expert, and again, if you want to start small, start with one board with all of these items in it, or when you become a little bit more savvy and have the time, you can separate them out into multiple boards. The 6th idea is to have a video board, and this is really important because we know how important video is, and video does really well when it comes to search engine optimization. So one of the things that you can do is bring in all the videos that you have on your website. Obviously, you're going to want to start there, but then you might also want to go out to some other leading industry sites, whether it's within the industry or maybe outside of the industry, that provides value back to your residents and prospects or even your employees. And go ahead and pin them in here. You can also, we talked about the resident testimonials board, but another thing that you could do is have resident testimonial videos and actually pin those as well. The 7th idea are apartment staging ideas. This is more for you guys internally to have, but again, it's okay to show the business-to-business and business-to-consumer side within the same environment in Pinterest. So if you find any great ideas for staging while you're browsing Pinterest, go ahead and pin it to your account so that way you have it on hand and you can go back to that at any time. That's the beautiful thing about Pinterest is half the time I don't have time to actually read the article, read the blog, or find the instructions for how they did that DIY project, but I know that I can store it and I can go back to it when I do have that time. So again, that works with staging ideas as well. Number 8 is moving tips. This is a big one too that really helps your prospects as well as your residents that are coming in, giving them tips on packing and checklists and different things like that. You might already have a section on your website that provides these tips, or you've got these assets on your blog, but also feel free to reach out to other websites, either in the industry or not, again, pulling in some of those photos and tips to provide value back to your customer. Number 9 are marketing and leasing ideas. This is my favorite. I have a board personally called Geek Attack, and anytime I find infographics or some really cool, articles on Mashable or any of those geeky sites, I always pull that in. Anytime I find a really cool marketing campaign, I make sure I store that into Pinterest so I can revisit it. It's really great for inspiration. Any type of ideas that you see, this is a great place to get exposure and to also get inspired. So pull all that in. You can create a board for marketing and leasing ideas. And the last board idea I have for you are resident event ideas. Pinterest, if you are on Pinterest today, you probably see tons of event and party ideas. That, again, is why I was so gravitated towards it for planning my wedding. I mean, it was an information hub, and it's highly visual, and it was beautiful. So all the things in there, use that to your advantage to generate different ideas for what really resonates with residents, what they want in an event, and then also, how you want to really style the event. So it'll give you some ideas for themes, placing of items, and even finding items that are relatively inexpensive. A lot of what I found for my wedding was through Etsy and some different services at low cost, and I wouldn't have never found those had I not been in Pinterest. So great ideas in there for creating resident events.
Well, cool. Thank you for sharing those. I know for sure, you property managers out there in charge of your social media can create one of those boards, if not all. And these are great ideas. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Erica, now that we've created the boards and gone through those 10 different board ideas with great content, can you share ways we can optimize and give our images and pins the best exposure possible?
Yeah, so optimization of pins, like I mentioned before, is really important. Over 80% of pins are repins on Pinterest, so this is really important because what that means is when you pin your content in, if it's optimized well, it's going to be repinned by others. So your brand is going to be seen more often. It's going to click traffic back into your website. So there's so many benefits to really spending a little bit of elbow grease on optimizing the pin. So just to give you guys some best practices, the best timing of the day of the week to pin content is going to be Saturday morning. The best time to pin on weekdays is going to be on Thursday. The best time to pin during the day is going to be between 2 and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And the best time to pin during the evening is going to be between 8 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Time. And I know what you're saying. Who has time to pin at 1 a.m. Eastern Time? Well, believe it or not, just like we have tools available out there in the marketplace that allow you to post to Facebook and to Twitter through automation, there's also some services popping up now that allow you to do the same thing with Pinterest. But you will see a lot of younger folks on Pinterest between the wee hours of the night pinning and getting their inspiration. So having those automation tools are really helpful for us as marketers. One of the things that you need to do is make sure you've included a description, a link, and some form of call to action at the pin level. You really want to use Pinterest as a means of a way of driving traffic back into your website, your blog, or your apartment listings. So any image that you post to your boards that originates either from your source or even from others, make sure you're including a link that takes those followers back into that source. Oftentimes you're going to be mostly spending the most time with optimization if it's a pin that originates from your own site. So make sure you've got a good URL in there. You've got lots of descriptive text. You're using good keywords, hashtags, of course, and then you can also add pricing, which I'll show you in a moment how you can do that. So how do you actually get that piece of content into Pinterest anyway? There's a couple ways you can do it. If you don't have the mobile application installed in your mobile device, there are some plugins available for your browser. You can install the Pin It button actually on your website. So if you are working with a third-party company for hosting your website, or you have internal resources for your webmasters, please go ahead and talk to them about getting that Pin It button added to your website. There's lots of studies and research out there that says as soon as you add that to your website, you can start seeing some really nice referral traffic and an increase in sharing and so forth. So simple thing, the code is already there. They just need to apply it into the background of your website. You'll be good to go. If you don't have access to those resources, the second thing you can do is add the bookmarklet. That allows you to install a plugin into your browser. So no matter what site you're on, you simply click this little button in your browser, and it allows you to pin a piece of content from any site. Once you've done that, this is what it looks like. So it allows you to quickly select which board you wanted to go into, and then you have the capability of syndicating that out to your other social networking sites. So I shared this apartment to my Facebook page, and that's what it looked like. You also want to add pricing and hashtags whenever relevant. So with pricing, the downside to Pinterest today is that it doesn't allow you to put in a range, right? So it only allows you to put in one price. So my recommendation is to put in your lowest price if you are, in fact, willing to add the price. So that's going to be up to your discretion. But this tactic that I did for this sample was I put the lowest rent range for this apartment just to see what it would look like. And again, you're going to want to add in as many hashtags as possible that are relevant to search. So that way when people are searching for pins in Pinterest, they're going to come across your content. To add the pricing, one more thing too, I'm going to back up a slide so you can see. You'll notice in the description, all you need to do is add in the $sign right before your price, and that automatically overlays that price in the upper left-hand corner of your photo. So this is a really hidden tactic that a lot of folks aren't taking advantage of. You'll see sites like Etsy do this all the time for their inventory, but that's something interesting to take a look at. The next thing that you want to focus on too is having creative board names and different captions at the post level. So you'll see this specific board here, instead of saying, necessarily, closets, you could say dreamy walk-in closets. Instead of saying bathrooms, you can say stylish bathrooms. Instead of saying, the master bedroom or the guest room, you can say beauty sleep. So I love how this particular company used a lot of fun words to play up on their boards just to make it a little bit more whimsical versus very stale. Also at the pin level, you can have lots of descriptive text and captions and make them engaging. Ask questions, and you'll see that people will start having conversations. And it acts very similar to Facebook and Twitter, where all you need to use is the @ symbol, and you can actually supply in the user's name, and that's how you would converse with them, the same exact way you would in Twitter and in Facebook. Lastly, when you get a little bit more savvy, you can also curate some content and by actually running a contest. So here's just some examples that we did where we asked our fans to go to our website and pin content for a chance to win a prize. So you'll notice that we gave them, whether it was a scavenger hunt or we gave them specific ideas on what types of things to pin. But overnight, we got all these inbound links. We built a sense of community. We had the engagement factor. And then, of course, we have all this brilliant content. And we learned trends about what our users like. So those are some ideas that you guys can do as well when you get to the point of wanting to run a contest with inside of Pinterest. So here's some Pinterest resources. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's so many, but we will be sending this recording out to you guys. But these are some of my favorite resources available for tracking Pinterest. Very much like Facebook, with your Facebook Insights and so forth, you've got access to data. And a lot of these sites will do just that. They give you access on what types of content's being pinned, who is pinning your content, what's the most popular types of content, who are the most popular pinners within inside of your environment or on Pinterest in general. So you really start to understand engagement trends. So I really love all these examples. So definitely get yourself set up with at least one of these. And if I had to pick one out of all of these, definitely get set up with pin alerts. You'll actually receive an email notification whenever someone actually pins a piece of content from your website or from your board. So this is really important so you can really track the activity. Another great little inside tip here is if you go to Pinterest.com and you put in /source/ your website address or your blog address, you're going to see all the pieces of content that people have pinned from your website and who actually pinned it. So I love this tactic. You can do this for your competitors. So this is something really fun to see what types of content are really resonating and to attribute traffic patterns back into your website.
Well, cool. Thank you for sharing Pinterest with us. And everyone, that was a lot of information. It was great information. But if you need something that's more bite-sized, hold on toward the end of the presentation. I'll share a link with you. We're going to do a breakout webinar next Tuesday on Pinterest. So if you want to sit in on that and just listen about Pinterest in particular, I'll share the link with you so that way you can register. But what we're going to do now is just move on to Instagram. So moving on from Pinterest, Instagram is the newest social network that has opened up an outlet of social expression, visual expression by way of user-uploaded photos. And through a series of photos, you're essentially telling a story, right? So photos are uploaded in real time, which allows you to be more connected, giving you and others a front row seat to one another's lives. It's really interactive. So Erica, the stats you've shared so far are really helping me kind of wrap my mind around how fast these networks are growing, which drives the impact of how important they are, right? So let's take a look at Instagram in numbers.
So Instagram actually passes Twitter for daily active mobile users, and this was in August 2012. There's 7 million different Instagram users, over 6 million in Twitter. So again, there's so much traffic being held inside of this mobile device. And again, this is mobile-based, but Instagram in the past couple of months did release Instagram pages for businesses, so I'll walk you through that. But the activity happening in here is insane. So there's 90 million monthly active users, 40 million are posting photos per day, and then there's 8,500 likes per second. So when I'm in Instagram, I know as soon as I see a photo I like, I literally sit there and I'll like it. So I can see that happening. And then 1,000 comments per second. So we can only predict that this site will absolutely gain some more momentum, and especially with the acquisition with Facebook. So I'm really excited to see where this platform leads and how multifamily can use it.
Right, and if those stats weren't powerful enough, Massive reported that over 100 million people currently are using Instagram, which is mind-blowing. And most will agree that the platform is one of the simplest mobile ways for users to share their photos. So again, we're seeing that society is attracted to more efficient ways to share their experiences, and brands aren't missing the mark. And according to reports that 40% of brands are using Instagram. And this makes sense because going back to the content distribution topic we were on earlier, Instagram is built to allow you to share your picture on multiple networks once you hit the share button. And recently, Instagram announced web profiles, which is allowing users to share and access photos easier via their online or via their desktop. So these features are good for both businesses and consumers to keep in mind while Instagramming. So Erica, if you'd like to go into how Instagram works, that'd be great.
Sure. So Instagram is really simple. Again, this is probably one of my new favorite sites. I use it daily. But the first step that you ultimately would do is snap a photo with your mobile device. And the second thing that you're going to do is you have the capability to choose from 20 different filters within the platform to really transform the image. So, you know, I'm not a professional photographer by any means, but I feel like one by using Instagram. It's amazing some of the things that you can do with your photo assets and the level of quality that you can really bring it to. So definitely take advantage of the filters, and I'll show you what those look like. And then what people do from there is once they hit submit, once they've selected their filter, they're going to start tagging that photo with the Foursquare location. So just like you are on Twitter, or if you're using Foursquare or on Facebook, you can tag the geolocation of where you are or where that photo was actually taken. And you can also include a message in it just like you would with posting a photo onto Facebook, and you can add hashtags. Hashtags are absolutely critical inside of Instagram because no one's going to see your photos if you don't hashtag them, especially if you don't have a large following. So you can be a brand and maybe have just 20 followers on Instagram, but if you use hashtags, you can be globally found by people in Germany and Australia and so forth, which is really interesting to see kind of the community you start to build. And then from there, you can also like and comment on posts from other users. And you can also search their site or within the application to discover content. So it's very simple. It's probably one of the easiest things from a social standpoint out there. There's not a lot of steps involved. It's meant to be quick on the fly via your mobile device. So here's a snapshot of what your filter options look like. You have 20 of them. So the first one is the original, so that would be your original photo. But you'll see how that tree really transformed through all of these different filters. My favorite filter is going to be lo-fi, and I also love the X Pro 3. So again, take advantage of these filters. It really brings life to your photos, and it really makes you stand out and look like a pro. So here's an example of what I did. I was at my father's home in Charleston, and I took a before photo, which is on the left, and then I tossed it into Instagram and put a filter on it. And you'll notice, look at how vibrant the photo on the right looks like. So what we're finding this trend is that both real estate and multifamily folks are starting to use this to really kick up their photos a bit and give it a little bit more life without misrepresenting what is actually there. So I just wanted to show that example. It's a real example that I did. Just like any of the other social networking sites, there's popular hashtags, and you can also search different users. So I took this list from web.statagram.com, and it gives you a list of all the top different hashtags being searched. So these are the tags that you're going to want to apply at the pin level. So you'll have access to this list, but definitely include, I would say, anywhere from 3 to upward of 20 different hashtags at your photo level. You may think it takes a lot of time, but once you start doing it, your app remembers the different hashtags that you used, so you can quickly add them. But this is the way that your photos are going to be found and the way that your brand will be exposed. If you don't use them, you're really going to just be in no man's land, and they won't be exposed. You also can engage with users. Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to piggyback on that one really, really quickly, and just kind of share with everyone that we are seeing more brands creating custom hashtags, which is something that you can do for your community. So like Erica said, you are in no man's land if you're not creating a custom hashtag, or at least using hashtags that are super popular already on Instagram. So just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you guys should be doing that anyway with if you create a company-wide hashtag or a property hashtag, that same hashtag can be used across all platforms to really build that brand consistency. Or the second approach to that would be to create different hashtags for each environment if you wanted to separately track the success of them. But my personal preference is to have one for all. So that's a great point, Ansley. The next thing that we're looking at right now is how you can actually engage with users. Anytime that you, are on Instagram, it's very much like Facebook. It integrates with Facebook because, of course, of the acquisition, but you'll be able to find all of your friends on Facebook and actually follow them and vice versa. And to have conversations with them, you simply use the @ symbol along with the user's Instagram handle, very similar to Pinterest and Twitter and Facebook and so forth. And again, you can have conversations on it. So it's really cool. It's my favorite because it really cuts the noise out. It's all visual, so you're not getting a lot of fluff in a news feed per se like Facebook. So it's very cut to the chase, right to the point, photocentric. So this is an example of when Instagram rolled out the browser-based URLs. So it's going to be instagram.com/ and whatever your personal Instagram handle is or whatever your business handle is. So you'll see this is what my personal one looks like. So this is what an actual consumer, what your residence page might look like. They're sharing anything from their favorite beverages or their favorite restaurants to different photos of themselves or conferences and traveling. So again, really humanistic there. So that's what a consumer would do, but what can we do as marketers? One of the first things that you can do is curate content, and that can range from loosely brand-related content to very product-specific, like your actual floor plans. You can engage with users to really build that trust and a sense of online community. You can also drive traffic back to your website. So today, Instagram doesn't allow you to have clickable URLs with your messaging, but you can still add your URL, and it can help build some direct navigation by someone visiting your website at a later time or actually finding it on the mobile device and then going to the website separately. So today in Instagram, when you add a link, it's not clickable, but I still think that it builds a nice impression. When you get more savvy within Instagram, you can start running contests and provide giveaways, and all of this just really helps humanize your brand, brings a little bit more personality behind the management company and the property. So here's an example of what DTN is doing. I love how they're showcasing photos. They have a combination of conventional and student housing, but I think it's great for them, especially on the student side, taking lots of photos of different resident events, anything that you typically take on Facebook. Think of that content cascading mentality of, okay, I've taken this photo, where else can this photo live? On my website, my blog, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Pinterest account, and now my Instagram account. So once you start getting that flow chart of where your content can go, it's really going to help expand your brand presence. So to set it up, you're going to want to make sure that you select your username, and I recommend, this is UDR's example here for the management company level, but select a username, and my personal preference is to have the same one that you have for Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and so forth, so you're really aligning yourselves nice there with branding. Include your logo, craft up a nice, fun description. It needs to be really short. You don't have a lot of characters. Make sure you provide your website URL, and that, in fact, is clickable, so that's great. So you're automatically getting some awareness and traffic back. And then also start following other people, because you won't be found if you don't start doing that. And then I would recommend that you ask all of your residents to follow you guys on Instagram and use the specific hashtag that you've deemed as your company hashtag or as your property hashtag. That way they start participating and help curating content on your behalf. So one of the things that we did to curate content, again, with that Home for the Holidays challenge we talked about, I love this, again, because we had nearly 1,000 photos. So we've already spoke to this content, so I won't go into details again. But this is a prime example of how we were able to use Instagram to our advantage to get up to 1,000 new photos. So some interesting things there that you can take a look at. If you need examples of how we wrote our legal or how we designed the challenge, feel free to pop over to our blog, and you'll be able to find all that information. Some other things that we did on the homes.com side, we did a fun red, white, and barbecue Instagram contest where we asked our fans to submit photos of them barbecuing. And this was during July, and we used a fun hashtag called red, white, and BBQ. And that hashtag went viral across all the social networking sites. So lots of fun things that you can do. We did Tailgate Fever, where we asked people to upload photos into Instagram using our hashtag and our @ symbol of themselves tailgating for a chance to win a tailgating prize pack. So different things that you guys can do and incorporate into a lot of the campaigns that you probably already have running. You can also integrate your Instagram account into Facebook. There's always apps for that, so take a look at how you can do that. This is a free application that is in Facebook, so I would definitely recommend that. So anytime you Instagram something on your Instagram account, it'll automatically sync up to your Facebook business page. One of my favorite Instagram resources is Statagram. This is a great website to supply you guys with some data very specific to Instagram, photos that are getting the most likes, the most comments, different people that are following you. You can search hashtags, view different trends. So this is probably one of my most favorite resources to date with Instagram. And then these are just some brands that I recommend you following for inspiration. They range anywhere from household names to hotels. We've got sports, we've got apparel, we've got you know, all kinds of different things, Pottery Barn, Nordstrom. So take a look at these brands. These are big brands that are doing some really cool things. Don't think that you have to have a big budget to do a lot of these things. You know, all of this is grassroots marketing at its finest. So just take a look at what they're doing, and you can scale it down much smaller to fit our needs. And again, you'll have access to this list.
Cool. So we were talking about Pinterest. We've talked about Instagram. Let's quickly move on to Facebook so we can get to your questions, because we've had a few questions come in. So as far as Facebook goes, Facebook is probably the most familiar social network, and it's been around the longest, but it's evolving every day, and it's still a great avenue to use when sharing your visual content. Because we respond to visual appeals more so than any other type of media, it makes sense that photos shared on Facebook generate about 53% more likes than any other content posted. So Erica, I know you've come across brands that do a great job at creating visual engagement on Facebook, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that you want to start with inside of Facebook is creating a stellar cover photo. So these are some of my favorite brands, both in the industry and outside, that are doing some really neat things with their cover photos. Starbucks, I love this. They do an integration. It's a hybrid of photos that are being found on Instagram, and they mash that up into their Facebook cover photo. Great way to, you know, content curate, but also show your fans that you love them and that you're bringing them into Facebook. Same thing with Chobani. Love that. You know, they're very slick with how they developed that cover photo, clean lines, and again, it's all about the consumer, but paired with the brand. And then the two examples down below, management companies and how they're showcasing different properties. But what I like about what Bozzuto did in this instance was they were very creative with how their profile pic integrates with the cover photo. So find creative ways to do that. That really brings your page to life. And that's the first thing that people see when they get to your business page, is the initial handshake and the first impression, if you will.
Right, and speaking of bringing your page to life, and since we're on the topic, those of you who may not be familiar will be happy to know that as an expert customer, you can create your own semi-custom cover photo in interactive welcome app that we have available to you through the social media dashboard, through the FRSocial media management dashboard. So I'm happy to catch you up to speed on any of these features, as well as the other great features that we have within the dashboard. That's its own training in and of itself. So if you are interested in utilizing our product offering to help you create that semi-custom cover photo, we are happy to do that for you. So just reach out to your representative if you need to, and I'm happy to set that up for you.
Great. Another thing that companies can do is using milestones for storytelling. This is an example of Dwell Apartments. They went back into 2006 and they actually placed a photo of them breaking ground. This is really cool for you to really capture the moments throughout the history of your company, dating back farther from when you even joined Facebook. So you can go all the way back in time. So I recommend if you do website redesigns, if you're breaking ground, you add properties to the portfolio, if it's at the management company level page, or if you're doing resident functions, or if you've had a resident that has a lot of tenure. Those are some really great things to add as milestones, so I definitely recommend that you do that. And they really, people enjoy that stuff. You can also, when you get savvy, is do a scavenger hunt and send your users through that. Also, this is a no-brainer. Lots of you guys are already doing this, but creating photo albums, and it seems like a simple thing, but oftentimes people forget to do it. They take a lot of photos at the events, but they, just don't have the time to upload them, which I'm guilty of doing that as well. So some of the things that you can think about is, again, a lot of this information we're starting to see Facebook is really, Google and the search engines are rewarding you for how well connected you are on Facebook, how many likes, how many comments, and how many shares you have. So it's really important for you to take that extra time to upload those photos into Facebook, because as Ansley pointed out, those photos are what's getting you those extra likes and comments and shares. It's highly visual and engaging, and it's working far more than text. So take the time to do it, and it's going to help not only reflect better in Facebook, but you're going to start ranking higher in the search engines. Memes, this is a really cool trend that we're seeing across a lot of brands. I love what Kentucky does. This is a travel group, and you'll see that they're taking fun photos that they've taken. They brand it with their logo, and then they put these really nostalgic or different type of meaningful messages on top of them, and they're going viral, and they're getting a lot of likes, shares, and different comments. So this is another tactic that I'm seeing in the space. Some of the things that you can do are brand quotes. So one of the things that we did recently for Martin Luther King Day was we had a photo, we had the quote, and we had our logo on it, and we posted it to Facebook. We did another fun, kind of our own e-card, if you will, with the I love spending my weekend cleaning the house, said no one ever. That one drove a lot of activity. 297 people liked it, 111 shares, and 7 comments. So think outside the box, look at content that's working well for others and how you can adapt it and really make it your own, and stick your branding on it, because as you get those shares and those likes, your brand will go with that and travel with it. You can also do some event teasers. So I love how the Olympic Games tease this out. They do very specific photos that are high impact and really outside of the box, not just a traditional event type photo. I really like how they thought about the positioning and the angle of this photo. So do that and pair it with some text as well as a link back into your event. Either maybe you set up the event on Facebook or you've got a link back into your website. So take advantage of using photos to promote events and so forth.
Right, and if I could just piggyback on that, I think there's nothing better than a teased event just to get the buzz going. So although you may not be promoting things like something on an Olympic scale, there's always something that you could be dropping event details about, like a picture that gives your audience enough juice to imagine what the next event has in store. Just that little hint could go a long way for you, and it takes a little bit of energy. So I've seen properties do this for yearly events like their 4th of July barbecues, maybe their holiday parties, other holiday-centered events. They're plugging maybe a year or 6 months in advance. However far in advance you'd like, you'll see how far that'll go for you.
Yeah, that's a great point. We also love this example from the Olympic Games where you really create a sense of nostalgia, and I really like how they paired, you know, an older photo from Olympics back in the day and paired it with a new photo. You know, again, it just really resonated well, and you know, I know, Ansley, you had some insight into how this could work for property managers as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that a great photo to share if you are in possession is maybe if you've been at your property long enough to experience the groundbreaking stage, you know, for however long ago it was, to present day where you might be running, you know, 4 different buildings on your property. So pairing those up to one another, we'll share some apps with you that you can actually pair those up with one another. But you can see just the vast difference, the black and white and the simplicity of this image next to present day. It just kind of tells you how far the Olympics have come, and that's not to say you can't say how far, you know, your property has come from its groundbreaking stage or grand opening, anything like that. So you can definitely apply any of this stuff to what you can do in your social strategy.
Love that. The next thing that you want to do is make sure that you're encouraging interaction. So this was an e-card. It's called someecards.com. If you're not using them, definitely start. They generate so much buzz, and they're already made. So that's the beautiful thing about it. It's already curated on your behalf. But what we did in this example is we said, like if you can relate to this, share if it made you chuckle, or at least crack a smile this Saturday morning. So we asked them to like and share. So what we're finding in our exercise is if you actually ask them to do something like or share or comment, 9 times out of 10 your users are going to do it, and that's what's going to give you that extra buzz in Facebook, but also it's going to reward you in Google search. So make sure that you're not only just posting up a photo, but you add in that question of some sort to really increase that engagement. Same thing with fill in the blanks. These generate about 90% more engagement than the average post, so very simple tactic, just asking for a fill in the blank. You can even take that to the next level and do a custom branded fill in the blank like Coca-Cola did. I love this. Super simple. They starred the story so it increased the width across the page. Beautiful, and it generated a ton of likes, comments, and shares. And I know what you're thinking. We're not Coca-Cola. We don't have all of those fans. But the point is that photos work. Regardless of how large or small your fan base is, they definitely work. Asking questions, questions that or posts that end with a question, this is going to increase engagement up to 15%. We did a simple tactic the other day. A lot of what we're doing is A/B testing just different things that work on Facebook. We said, which pet is more your style? Very simple. This had 103 likes, 15 shares, and 195 comments. So something very simple, didn't take a long time to do, but yet generated a lot of buzz. Also, don't forget to pin your post. That's a tactic inside of Facebook that allows you to pin the post so it stays at the top of your business page for 7 days. So if you're running a special or promotion, include that with a photo, and that goes to the top of your page. So it's very visual. Or you can star the story. If you hover over your post in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little pencil icon that will allow you to both pin it and star it. And starring it doubles in width across your page, so it's very impactful.
Great. So hopefully we're wrapping things up here. Hopefully you've gotten a great dose of how you can implement visual social media into your social strategy using Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. These are all great ways. You can implement any of these today if you'd like. So let's talk about how you can get visual. So we've applied visual social media, again, to Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. All great platforms that give you that prime real estate to display great interactive imagery. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to go over some tools that I can use to edit, enhance, and upload photos, and you can do that as well. So what you see here is just kind of a screenshot of a few tools that we use to upload our photos, maybe on the personal end as well as on the B2C, B2B end. So I'm sure you know there are quite a bit of photo editing apps out there and programs out there, but these are just a few that we frequently use and that we prefer. So first you see is the Photoshop app, which has that great bokeh effect that Erica showed of her dad's house, which puts more light in your image. It's a free app, I believe, so that's great. Next, you have PicMonkey, which is a free desktop program. So use this from your computer. So what you'll be doing is you'll be uploading a photo from your desktop, anywhere from your desktop. It's a program that allows you to create super clean, custom collages, as well as a great editing tool. So it's actually, I love it. You actually can put more blush on someone's cheeks, or you can, like, you know, do the airbrush effect. So it allows you to be as minimal or as in-depth as you'd like. Other apps that we love are PicFrame, PicStitch, which you see are great when you are wanting to create multiple photo effects. So if you're wanting to do that, what you saw for the Olympics where you're pairing something up with one another, these are great apps to do that. PictoChart is a program that I've mentioned previously when we talked about brainstorming 2012. It's a program that was introduced to me then, and it lets you build your custom infographics. So if you're wanting to take it up a notch and create custom infographics if you have enough content to do so, PictoChart is a great program for you to do that. You also have Fonto, which is a text overlay app that helps you really create those branded photos that we saw, like the MLK photo, things like that. You can overlay your text onto the photo, helps you build those branded photos we saw earlier. Now, most smartphones and tablets are able to download these apps, so you can just search around in the Apple Store or anywhere else, and you'll be able to find those. Cool. So closing, we just want to give you a few steps, a few tips that you can use to become more visual. So we want to leave you with some healthy habits and tips in becoming more visual, and the first being the basic rule of always plugging a photo when possible. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Again, you're aiming to get that larger amount of engagement with your audience, and photos create that for you. Number two, don't overcomplicate your messaging. And a picture says 1,000 words, right? So if you're on a social network that limits characters, this is especially true, and it helps you cut out a lot of clutter and a lot of noise. It lets you get straight to the point. Number three, craft your verbiage to benefit you as far as SEO, branding, and findability is concerned. This means including words that will allow your content to be picked up in search, which is so important. Number four, use at least 3 hashtags when on Pinterest and or Instagram. Again, photos with those hashtags are found with ease that way, or they'll be in no man's land. It's your choice. So use hashtags, and that'll help you aggregate more exposure for your picture. Number five, update and refresh your Facebook cover photo just to keep things fresh and visually stimulating. According to what you've been doing at your property, if you have a campaign, if you have some type of holiday going on, theme your cover photo to reflect that. Remember, our social media management dashboard allows you to do this within just a few clicks. So holler at me if you need training on that. I'm happy to do so. And number six, curate your content by hosting a contest for promotions. Very, very simple. Again, if you're an expert customer, you may be participating in the iPad 2 sweepstakes we have available for you to run on your Facebook page. We've included legal with that. We've included everything for you. But again, if you choose not to go that route, that's perfectly fine. Running an Instagram or a Pin It to Win It contest on Pinterest are great options as well. So the goal really is to put these into practice. So it's that second nature. When you are using VSM as part of your social strategy, these 6 tips will come to you on second nature. So what we have for you now are some valuable links we'll share with you. What we'll do real quickly, since we're short on time, is I'll share these links with you, but I'm going to actually share some questions that came in. So what we'll be doing right now is just going over some questions. So the first question, Erica, we have for you are, our page has multiple admins for our Facebook. So obviously we know that if you have a Facebook page, and you create a brand page, you have multiple admins. So the question is, does Pinterest have similar feature that's conducive to having multiple admins?
So that's a great question. Today, Pinterest does not have that available. You can't have multiple admins per se, but what we do is we actually just share the username and password for the branded page across, 3 or 4 different people within the organization. So that allows you, no matter which browser or IP address you're on, you can still have access to that. So that's one way to do it. I do envision Pinterest probably having some form of admin tools that roll out at some point. They don't have an API yet, so when that API comes out, again, we'll also have more capability to do more with the data and more integration with our site. So we're excited to see when that comes out. In the meantime, just share the username and password. You can also create boards in Pinterest and have multiple creators of it. Like I told you that I shared that board with my wedding planner. We do that in the office all the time, where we have a couple personal people that have access to pin to our corporate boards. So that's a great way where you can get some help and expand your marketing resources.
Okay, cool. So we had another question come in that referenced hashtags. So we need someone to really be able to be familiar. So the question was, do you guys have any training on hashtags? I really don't understand what the hashtag is all about. So maybe if you could, in just a few seconds, break down exactly what a hashtag does.
Great. So that actually brings up a good point. We should probably do a training, Ansley, just specific to hashtags, because it is becoming so universal across all the platforms. So we can try and work on getting that out, as well as a blog. But in the meantime, what hashtags do is it helps increase your findability online within these platforms. And we're seeing it translate across all of them. So, what it does is it helps when people are searching on Instagram or on Pinterest or on Twitter. People like to search through hashtags. So that's the keyword that identifies and associates themes with it. So anytime that word is used with the pound sign, which is the other word for hashtag, that allows you to find that content and click directly into it. So it just allows you to track trends, become part of a trend, track different things that are happening with your brand, and identify what people are saying about you. So, you can use it in a lot of ways, but it's also good for branding, because when it's paired with your messaging, it's just another quick way for you to get a mention for your brand. But that's a great question, and Ansley and I will work on getting you guys some more information, whether it's a blog or a specific training for how you can really use hashtags to your benefit, because they really do make or break how well you perform in some of these social sites.
Yeah, great. Now, I'm definitely looking forward to building that with you. Another question about hashtags, and this will be the last question, and any other questions that come in, we'll be happy to answer those via email. So we have a question about hashtags. What are some good ideas for hashtags that would tie into our apartment or reach the right audience? So I think that what they're asking is, as far as general hashtags go, what type of wording, keywords should one use in the multifamily industry when sharing a photo on Instagram or Pinterest?
So I definitely recommend that you have one that's very corporate, if you will, that is your actual property name, and which we in our industry run into we have the challenge of we all have very similar apartment community names, across the nation. So if you can differentiate yourselves by adding maybe your state abbreviation or city or something to make it slightly different from what someone else might be from California to Virginia, because we oftentimes share that community name. But I would definitely have one that's very branded, specific to your property name. At the management company level, I would also agree that you should have one at the management company level. But then some of the things that we've been doing at ForRent are creating some really fun, lighthearted ones that match the campaign. So our holiday home chat, or we did hashtag tailgate fever. So you'll notice that it's not self-serving at all. We don't have our brand in it, and it was just really fun and lighthearted. So I definitely recommend having a couple of those in your back pocket too, or that are very specific to campaigns. But then you also always use the hashtag for the brand. So I recommend that you go follow DTN Management on Instagram, just to kind of see how they do it too, because you'll see they have a couple hashtags that they use for their brand.
Cool. Alrighty, well, in the interest of time, we're going to wrap things up. So, Erica, I appreciate you giving us some time. These examples you shared today are great. I love the pin board ideas. I think those are great with the headshots and everything. So thanks to all of you who are listening. Thanks for joining us. We hope you can take multiple ideas from what we gave you today and apply them in real time. We'd love to see how far you come from where you are today. So, again, if you're in need of a refresher on Pinterest, I'm hosting that Pinterest webinar next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to sign up for that using the link I'll be chatting with you now. And look forward to the hashtag training we'll be doing for you in a little bit as well. But on behalf of ForRent Media Solutions, again, thank you for joining us, Erica.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. This was a blast.
Yeah, cool. And then we hope to see you guys next month. You're free to go. Appreciate your time. Have a good day, everyone.